Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to episode 264B of Tales with TR. I'm your host, Terry Ryan Jr. Let's get right into it. Today's guest topped off an exceptional 4-year junior career with the Kitchener Rangers in 2003 with an OHL championship and a Memorial Cup championship, where he also took home MVP honors. He then went on to a decade-long NHL career where he'd amassed over 500 points and almost 200 goals in the best hockey league on the planet. These days, he's settled back in his native Ontario and wears many hats, some of which we'll talk about on today's podcast. He is a fine forward, a super saber, great guy, a proud player, a scintillating sniper, a cool Canadian. He was an offensive danger with the Kitchener Rangers. He gave him hell in the OHL. You know what's up? He won a Mem Cup. He was picked by Buffalo and then made the big show. He scored year after year and had a great career. He likes crackers and cheese and also played overseas. He doesn't do kung fu, but he played for Team Canada too. Folks, he scored lots of goals since he was a boy. Please welcome to the show my pal, Derek Roy. How the hell are you doing, Derek?
Hey, what an intro. That's amazing.
Well,
I'm
it
good.
is amazing. And I've always, you had an amazing career. I always followed along. We only met recently. I think like for this way, we might have met sometime in passing. But it's great to have you on the show. I appreciate it. Now, it's Derek Roy, I know, but does anybody call you Wah? Isn't your family partly French, or am I wrong?
Yeah, my dad's French, mom's English. So we went to French school our whole lives, but at home we spoke English. And my first game, exhibition game in the OHL with Kitchener Rangers, the guy that's announcing all the goals was asking me, like, how do you pronounce your name? Is it want me to pronounce it Roy or Wah? So I said, well, it's pronounced Roy. It's not Wah. So how about let's just say Roy? And that's how it stuck.
You know what? That's what I figured. And it's been that way for a lot of people with that name. And
That's hard to pronounce. You got to roll those R's.
Wah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
by the way, I'm taking Duolingo now. I thought I was cruising. I thought for sure I'm going to know French by the end of the fucking month. This is easy. Did I ever hit a roadblock? Because at first it's just like, je suis Terry, and you're just learning vocab. And like, but then you realize there's a past tense, the passé composé or whatever. Oh
Yeah.
my God. And the imparfait. And I don't know how to say things that I thought it'd be so easy. And now it's a roadblock.
Try
I'm
writing
like
an essay in French.
What's that?
Try writing an essay in French for French class.
Well, the thing is, it's a puzzle still. So like I try to catch up by reading like the paper and stuff, so I can kind of get what they're saying, but I don't get beyond that. There's a point you stop and you don't really learn anything else unless you hear people speak it, and that's going to be tough. Did you like when you say you went to French school? Was it bilingual? Of course, it's bilingual, but did you have to take, say, like science in French?
Yeah, everything was in French. The only class we had was English class was in English. And if we got caught talking English in the hallways, we get in pretty big shit. So,
Where was this
yeah.
exactly? Like, where did you grow up?
Well, I grew up in Clarence Creek in Rockland, so I went to Clarence Creek School, and then when I went to high school, I went to Lescade, which was a French high school in Rockland.
Was it like in any way like a hockey prep school or anything, or was hockey completely separate?
It became a prep school. Like it became a little bit more of a hockey school. When we played, I feel like back in the day, you'd either play Bantam or juniors. You wouldn't play school hockey. School hockey was probably the lowest of the calibers. So, and you just didn't want to get hurt, right? Your parents were like, "Hey, you're not going to go play that hockey and maybe possibly get hurt." So, I was playing in the OHL going back to high school. I won Rookie of the Year after my first year in the O, and going back to high school because like you know how it works. Half the year you're off playing in Kitchener, 3/4 of the high school you're off playing in Kitchener, and then you're back for the latter half of the school. So your classes got to line up. But coming back after winning Rookie of the Year was pretty sweet. It was good homecoming, and we had a really cool school. And I love the fact that I'm bilingual. I speak both languages.
So you were in grade 11 then, when you I guess because you came into the O at 16, right?
Yeah, first.
So those are crazy fucking numbers. Nearly 90 points. I didn't have to do much research because I know your career. But when I did, some of the numbers really fucking stood out. So you must have gone high in the OHL draft.
So, second round. I went second round in the OHL, second round in the NHL. So we didn't have a great team to start off, and we knew my dad knew the general manager, Jamie McDonald. He coached me a little bit growing up, so he had an inside track on how I can put up some points in any league I played in. So
Yeah.
basically, he said that I was going to play a lot, which I did my first year. A lot of guys don't get that chance, right? A lot of guys don't get the chance to play on the first line and play a lot, and they're as a 16-year-old. So I was benefiting from all that kind of stuff, and I had some good surrounding cast around me. So it was a good intro to my career. Guys like Serge Paillet and older guys that kind of I looked up to and learn the ways real quick at 16 when you get thrown in the fire.
Yeah. Was it right off the bat? I mean, that's pretty sick. So I was third overall in the Western League. And my first year as a 16-year-old, I had 33 points. A little bit, I had 176 penalty minutes, but that wasn't really the plan going in. But because I just thought score like you're in minor hockey, but I got out there. It was a different era. But I remember being 16, like third overall. I'm like, I don't know. 33 is all right. I held my own, but it took like after, I think, I don't know, but I bet you before Christmas I had 5 points. Like I really turned it on after. It took me a while to get used to the speed of, but I mean, it's tough really not to score. You must have been fairly consistent with 90 points. Would you run the first line right away?
Yeah, I had a good training camp, and then had a couple first stars kind of in exhibition games, and it was kind of snowballing. And then all the guys
Yeah.
were like, the older guys kind of took me under their wing, which was nice because they were like, "Oh, this guy's gonna get me some points too." So let's take him under our wing. And I remember our first home opener. I got the first star of the game. My first OHL game, I got buried from behind, and my dad was at the game in Barrie, and I got cut for like 6 or 8 stitches above the eye.
Really?
And yeah, and I left the game and came back. And like I'd love to say that I came back, scored a goal, but nothing really happened. We lost. We ended up losing the game. And then my dad, after the game, I come downstairs. He's like, "You sure you want to do this?" Like, and I was like, "Oh yeah." So I had this big shiner with this just cut over my eye. But the next game, I ended up getting my first goal, and I think that kind of settled me down. And the boys that night were like, "Hey, go home, put your best shirt on. We're going to the bar." And I was 16 years old, and
Oh yeah.
all the older guys took me under their wing. They're like, "You're coming to the bar with us." So they'd make me talk to all these girls for them and all that. And I felt part of the team right away, which
Great
was
feeling.
really nice. And
I
they're
bet
great. I
you
mean, they didn't drag me out to the bar all the time, but they just felt like that was a good time to bond with a
in
younger
our
kid.
time, it was a rite of passage. I remember that being, they exactly. I say to people like, the bar, it was just a bit of a bar code. You go out. I had the same sort of, they'd take out 2 or 3 drinks, like, in the odd
Yeah.
time, I guess we had no game, but it just wasn't, I know what you mean. It was more symbolic, right? Take him out, like get him with us. I bet you Alan Rourke was one of those guys.
Oh yeah, Rourke was there. He's
Yeah.
I think he scored over 30 goals that year. Rourke was
The
he was an animal
D-man, I
back
know he
then. Yeah, he
rented
was
my
a
house when he
D-man.
played there for the Leafs. When I first got injured and came home, I did the color commentating for the Leafs for a couple of years, St. John's Leafs, of course, and the Leafs #1 minor league team. But he rented my place. Yeah, he's a pretty good guy.
Yeah, it's just like you're going in a junior team, you're all shy, you're 16 years old, you barely have any pubes on. And
Yeah.
you're going in the shower with men, right? You're going to 21-year-old guys or 21-year-old guys are the oldest guys in the O. So I just came out of playing Bantam hockey. So yeah, it's good to be part of the
Yeah.
team and feel like you're part of the team. And I just felt like right away they embraced me right away, and that gave me confidence to do what I did.
You guys go so that 4 years. It's gradual, and then you go. I knew OHL championship. I didn't realize Memorial Cup. So you're really building towards something. 02, 03. So you go to the Mem Cup. The playoffs happen. Were you guys? I remember hearing about Kitchener. I follow almost every year, but I don't recall if you guys were favored going in because you went in and you end up mopping up with your captain. You win MVP. How did all that take place? Like, how did the playoffs go in the O and then the Memorial Cup itself?
Well, I think we had a really good team, and we lost some guys to World Juniors and things like that throughout the season. And we had Mike Richards, David Clarkson, Greg Campbell, Steve Eminger, myself. Like we had a good crew of guys, and our coaches were Steve Spott and Pete DeBoer. So we were really good
Oh,
coaches and a really good team. So we were ranked up there all year long, and winning the championship in the OHL just became it was a win or bust kind of thing for us. That's how we felt. We should win, and before that we had really bad years. Before Pete and Sparta came in, we had some years. I think I only won one playoff game before that.
Wow, really?
Yeah, one playoff
Jeez,
game in
so you
in
really
3
fucking
years.
turned it on the last year.
Yeah, and then we end up winning the league, and then we're like, holy shit, we got to win something else. We got to win this Mem Cup. So you got to get out of your head for 1 second and get back into focusing. All right, we got another tournament to win, and it's a 1 game elimination at some point of the tournament. So we won all 4 games, and the toughest game I think was we played Kelowna. They were a tough team, but the finals, I don't know. We just know when you have that swagger and you just figure you're going to beat everybody.
Yeah.
And the good thing about
At
winning
the
a
end of that
champion,
run, you'd probably have that swagger, a long fucking,
oh yeah, and you don't feel like every season there's a loss and you're like, okay, season's over, we lost. When you win, there's no I lost anything, so you just when's the next game kind of thing. You're just looking for the next like kind of game.
yeah,
But
yeah. It's
yeah,
almost like a drug.
yeah, it's awesome, man. We had a good
Those
time.
big
There's
rush.
there's there's guys I saw the other day. George Halkitis. He lives in Kitchener in Toronto, and we played together in Kitchener. And saw him the other day, and it's just guys like Matt Manius, Matt Grenier. Some of these guys live in Toronto. And when you see guys that you haven't seen before, and you won a Mem Cup together, you still have friendships for life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. I mean, they really are. People say best years of your life. I mean, it's tough to beat a few years later when you're driving a fucking big time car and you're making money and you're playing the show and getting fucking 80 points. But I'm just saying that I feel the same about Junior. There's a real affinity. Now here, I didn't know this either. Looking in, this is a weird start. So you come out of there. And you go to the Sabres, everything must be going well. I mean, they pick you in 2001. 2 years later, you're fucking rolling in the Memorial Cup, wearing the C MVP. They must be loving their pick. Now, in 03-04, you spend some time in Rochester. Just HockeyDB just gives you, I'm guessing, the first part of the year. With 26 games, you get 26 points. So I'm assuming you got called up. Now, in the remaining 49 games in the NHL, 9 goals and 10 assists is pretty fucking good for somebody, with absolutely no experience yet. The next season, you go down to Rochester where you fucking light it, and then you look back. But you didn't look back after that. You never played in the minors
Well, that
again
was a
after.
lockout. The next year was a lockout.
That's
That was
what
the
happened. Okay, I
04.
was
Yeah.
fucking wondering. I'm like, why in the hell would he be? So the lockout, where technically you could go
That
down.
was a great season. We had Ryan Miller, Thomas Vanek, Jason Palmanville, myself, Mike Ryan, Chris Thorburn. Like we had a
Okay.
bunch. We had a bunch of guys on our team, and we're all the Nathan Page. We're all the same age, right?
Yeah.
So it was fun. Right? Like all these guys would go out, and we started a band with Ryan Miller, myself, Tom Askey, our backup goalie. So I went out and bought a drum set when I was after my first couple of weeks. I'm like, I'm going to go buy a drum set. I don't know. I just
Had you
figured I
ever
should.
drummed?
Yeah, my buddy taught me how to play, but I never really took it kind of like to the next
Like
level.
all 4 limbs going at once?
Yeah.
Oh fuck,
And
man! I really envy it. I wish I could.
and then so we decided, like Tom Askey, I go to the rink next day. I tell Tom Askey, he's like, I've been playing guitar for like 18 years. And then Miller's like, oh, I've been playing guitar for 5, and I'm trying to learn. And Steve Lindgren's like, I've been playing drums for 18 years too. So we're like, did we just start a band? So we just somebody came over with a case of beer the next day. We're like, every Tuesday we jam out and we put a set together and we play around the city and we have the whole
Are you
team come out.
fucking kidding me?
No, man, it was awesome. Whole team would come out, drink for free, and kind of hang out, and we'd play in between sets. There's a band called 50/50. They were a Journey cover band, and we kind of played. We'd had a 20-minute set between their kind of break, and and all the fans wearing jerseys and shit would come out and hang out and listen to our songs. And yeah, man, it was pretty fun season.
Can't believe I didn't. When we were on a piss one night somewhere, probably in Buffalo, when we played you guys with the Shoresy group. I know you were alluding to that. It was really loud. I didn't realize that you actually played fucking events. I didn't know that. I used to you were toyed with being a musician. You and the boys. I didn't know this is what you meant. I can't believe I haven't heard of it. So
Yeah,
then,
it was
what kind of
cool.
songs
It was
would you
fun.
play?
Some Pearl Jam. We just kind of mixed like all types of music, whatever the lead singer could sing. And, Tragically Hip. We played some Pearl Jam. We played some Smashing Pumpkins. Like whatever song we could kind of like play and get together. Sometimes I'd play drums. Sometimes I'd sing. Like we just had a couple songs where it was just, oh, I could play this song like. Uh, the White Stripes or something like hey, we should start some ding, ding,
And you
ding,
got
ding, ding, ding. And then and then we're like, okay, yeah, okay, I can play that. So we just kind of fed off each other, and then we kind of practice a song and try to get it down pat. And it was a pretty fun year, man.
Jesus fuck, I guess it was. Okay, then 0506. There's so much to unpack with your first few years in the NHL. So let's just go 0506. Okay, so first of all, I don't want to skip over that because now it makes sense there was a lockout, but 0304, I mean, 20 points in half a fucking season. I mean, you really did learn quick. Who's your first goal on? I mean, you must remember it. How did it take place?
Yeah, Patty Lalim at home were against Ottawa. It was a game that was I'm from Ottawa, so it was broadcasted back home. So it was a big goal. So as soon as I scored, I was like, wow, I didn't even know what to do. When you score, like, you're just like,
Yeah.
I just felt like that was like, okay, I finally made it. I feel like once you put your stamp in as a, if you're a goal scorer, a fighter, whatever you do,
Totally.
if you do the thing that you're supposed to do, then you're like, okay, I've made it. Like, until I scored, I never felt like I made it.
Yeah, and then you start feeling comfortable, of course. And okay, so now I get the year ends on a positive note. You go down for the lockout. Now you come back right off the hop too, man. 46 points, 70 games. So that would have been your first full season in the NHL. Who were your line mates?
Mostly Finneganoff and Vanek.
Really? Okay,
Yeah.
Finneganoff is pretty fucking lights out. That must have been,
Yeah.
well, first of all, a little bit of pressure on you, but as you're rolling, it must have been quite the feeling to have a rookie year so successful and play with such great players.
Yeah, Max was one of those guys that every night you just had to be able to skate with him or try to be able to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's always flying every night. So it pushes you to try to keep up with him. So he was always great, man. And trying to get the Austrian Vanek on one side and the Russian Max Finneganoff on the other side and trying to relay both messages. These guys are yelling at me to, hey, you tell Vanek this. You tell I'm just trying to put out fires left and right. It was hilarious, man.
I fucking didn't think of it like that. That would be funny though. Yeah. Now, I mean, I had to check and see if I read this right. 06, 07, the Sabres win the President's Trophy. I mean, I'm not doubting that you had a good team. I just don't remember Buffalo doing that. That's pretty fucking wild. Like, Stanley Cup or no Stanley Cup, to do that over 80 fucking 2 games. And I really didn't know it happened. And you ended up, I think, getting the fastest goal to start a playoff game. That must have been a pretty fucking electric season.
Yeah, I mean, those 2 years when we beat Ottawa in the second round, and then
Yeah.
Ottawa the final year they beat us in the conference finals. Those were two, especially for me. I'm from Ottawa, so it had a lot. Like I was jacked up for those games. I know the first game against Ottawa in the playoffs, we played them in Ottawa. They were favored to win the Stanley Cup that year, and we went out and beat them 7-6, and I had 5 points. And that was like the best game I've ever played. It was one of those games where just the puck seems to follow you and shit's going your way. And it was in front of my own, like all my family and friends. Like that doesn't get any better than that. It was pretty special and pretty awesome. And then Ottawa just kicked our ass the next year. So it was kind of, they were pissed off at us. And I like that. Remember that rivalry when Peters fought Emery and like that whole shit went down. And yeah, that was, I think
that's arguably one of the highlights of that whole era.
Yeah, that whole 2 years against Ottawa was just an absolute battle every time we played each other. It was awesome.
Couple questions I'm getting in from some fans that knew you were coming on. Who's the toughest person you ever saw played with or against on face-offs? I remember my Yannick Perreault was like fucking pretty lights out. Like he was over 60% every season, which, do you remember anybody standing out?
Yeah, a couple of guys. I know, well, what happens when you're in 19, 20, I was playing at 19 exhibition games and stuff. You're just not strong, right? And 20 years old, you're just not strong, and you're taking these face-offs against like Rob Brindamore and
Oh, yeah.
Bobby Holik and guys like that. And you're like, holy shit, man, these guys are just way stronger than me. I got to put on some pounds and I got to like get to the gym. And the one guy that never gives up on any face off and that I respect thoroughly because he's a really good player is Patrice Bergeron. He never gives you 1 inch anytime. It
No?
doesn't matter if it's a neutral zone face off, center ice face off, in zone face off, offensive defense, doesn't matter. He's not letting you win. And he was a tough guy to go against every night.
Fuck, wow. Okay, that came from Sask 812. Anyway, there you go. And Jerkadirk wants to know. He wants to know what it was like to play with Danny Briere. Was Danny good in the room? And I think, I mean, I know Danny a little bit. I think he's a year younger than me. I came across him a couple times in my experience. He was an absolute gentleman and a magician with the puck. But you played with him. Tell us a little bit about Danny B.
Yeah, Danny, he loved to score. He loved to win hockey games. He was a guy that I looked up to, especially for me being a small guy. We had Chris Drury and Danny Briere and smaller guys at the center position. And they were, both of them were just, they wanted to win so bad. And Danny every day would bring his A game. And I think he had over 100 points that year. And on a team that we kind of ran 4 lines, it's
Yeah.
pretty impressive. Like he would just score at will. I mean, he's always around the net, always knew what to do, and call him Sneaky B because he could just score from anywhere, and he's always sneaking in and
Yeah.
wrapping pucks around and all that stuff. And he had a little vicious side to him too, which guys didn't know. He'd get pissed off, he'd let the guy know, take a
Oh,
suspension
yeah.
or two. Yeah,
Chop over the laces, too.
yeah,
And he was
exactly.
one of the first to take that bad angle shot up over the shoulder. Draisaitl does all the time. I remember
Yeah.
seeing him do that, and I was going, "Why? I'd never really seen it before. I thought I'd be benched for even trying something like that." And now it's kind of run of the mill. So internationally, just rewind a little tiny bit. World Juniors. So it would have been 2003. You got silver. You guys got silver, which is an accomplishment. Hate to be, rather than lose gold, you
Yeah.
won a silver. Where was
Was
it that year? And who'd
Halifax.
you play in the final?
Halifax lost to Russia.
Wow,
We
that was fucking packed. I remember that one in Halifax. Yeah, I was actually. Oh my God, what am I saying? I was there. We flew up.
Yes.
I was there. Yes, Jesus. I'm just looking at. And what a fucking vibe. What a vibe.
Oh man, that rink was some of the loudest fans I've ever played in front of. It
You
was
guys came out fucking
every
hitting
game.
too. It really. I don't remember every goal, but like how it all went down. But I remember and you guys came out hitting, which we all wanted. And um, I can't remember the result. What was the score?
I think it was 3-2 we lost. Couple bad bounces, just a couple bad bounces. I mean, it's a one game elimination, could go either way. And Russia had a good team too. So it was one of those things where you're so disappointed because you're watching World Juniors your whole life and you finally get to play in it and you just envision yourself winning the gold medal and you just fall a little bit short. And it's, to you, it's like the most devastating loss of your
Yeah.
life. You
But
know what I
now I
mean?
hope you look back. I hope you got your silver, like a silver medal at the fucking World Juniors is great. Really, when you look back at how weird we used to look at things, but
Yeah.
like that's a big thing. Do you have it? Do you still have the medal?
Oh yeah, I have all
Oh,
my
good.
medals. That
I'm
a lot of
glad.
silver, a lot of silver. So I lost 3 times to Russia by 1 goal in the world championships and the World Juniors
Wow.
in the finals. So
What
that
was the
was
coolest place? What coolest? There's three. So what World Championships? Where were they? The 3 times?
um the one was Halifax again and Quebec City.
Oh, I
Um,
see.
so the World Championships were in Halifax for 3 quarters of it, and the semis and finals were at the Colisée in Quebec.
Love
And
that.
the following year was in Switzerland and Bern, which was kind of nice too. But those Team Can experiences are awesome, man. They're like the first class treatment. You get to meet some of the players and get to play alongside and see how good players are, and you get to hang out with the guys outside of the rink, and you just get to see a different side of guys. And now you're on their team, so it's just like the respect factor is huge. And whenever you put on a Canadian jersey, you do whatever you can do to win the game and to win the tournament. And that's how I feel like every time I put the jersey on for Canada, I try to give it the best I had.
So tell me how it went down that you got to the Olympics.
So that was during the time where the NHL players weren't allowed going to the Olympics, and we had a tournament in it was Germany. We had it's called the Deutschland Cup the year
Yeah.
before, and one of the I don't know if it was Scotty Salmon or somebody said that was like, hey, listen, just be prepared this summer and maybe next year the Olympics, the NHL guys won't go, and we're going to need players to go to play for Canada, and we're going to pick the best of the best besides the NHL. So everyone went super silent in the dressing room, being like, "Holy shit, this could," because we heard it might happen, but we're like, "Oh, there's no way they're going to let it happen," you know.
I remember
And,
this. Yeah.
and I was on the the Olympic camp in Calgary for
Yeah.
2000. What was it 2008 in Vancouver?
Mm.
Was it 2000,
10.
10. And so that summer 2009, we had a training camp in the summer, and I was there, and I had a chance to make the team, and I didn't come out to the best start of my career. I knew I needed to like blow the doors off or do something crazy to make that team, but at least I was invited to camp. There was only like 40 guys invited to camp, whatever. So, or
Yeah.
36 or whatever it was. So at least I kind of got the invite, and then I felt like that was my last chance. I never have another chance at it, kind of thing. And then this happens, 8 years later, I get another chance at it, which is crazy. We had all these tournaments leading up to it in Russia and Sochi and all these different tournaments in different places, and they were just trying to formulate a team together. And I so happened to be on it, and I was one of the
Unreal.
assistant captains. So I was got put in a really good position to succeed, and coach had a lot of trust into me, and it was an awesome time. I remember stretching the first. You go around and warm up, and
Yeah.
you do a little stretch, and you're looking in the stands, and I could see my like families up there, like my parents and
Yeah. Like
my wife
in
and
the
stuff.
Olympiad.
And
Like
I'm
it's
like,
it's
holy
almost
shit, yeah.
blows my mind to even really think about. Like there's so much to unpack. So I mean, just some logistical stuff. Is the Olympic like the village? Like you're staying in there? Are you walking by other athletes that are like in cabins, or were you in a hotel? You didn't see them. Like how did it work?
We're in basically a condo for all Team Canada. So you had the bobsledders and the speed skaters and the figure skater. Like everyone's kind of, unless you're like in the mountains where those guys were probably staying closer by. But we were all in there, and we had four guys per room. And basically, there's a food hall where you're just bumping all the athletes in the food hall, and it was a cool experience. We got to see some different sports, and we got to see like curling and speed skating and like all that kind of jazz. And we went to the mountain one day, so it was a cool experience to see all the different sports and cheer on all the other athletes. And you watch them on TV, and then they come, they're sitting down beside you after. You're like, hey, good job, in figure skating or whatever it is. It's pretty
That would blow
cool.
my mind. And
Yeah,
what if
yeah,
they
it's pretty
win? And
cool.
do they have license to like if they win and they're staying in the room across from you, and do they come in like fucking with a big fucking mug of beer, and you guys like is that allowed, or do they have the partying or the
Yeah,
celebrating somewhere else?
they do whatever they want. So some people are done like the first day or
Yes,
two,
I know.
right? Like they're
Fuck, I
freaking
would
like,
love to be those people.
and
Well,
they're
you know how
just
great that
partying the
must
whole
be.
time.
I
Yeah.
know. Oh,
Just going full tilt right after. We had so our game. So the hockey. We won bronze that year, and so our game was before the final day. So the final day is the hockey game, right? It's the final event before the closing ceremonies. So it was cool because we got to see the women's game, and then they came to see our game, and they were all boozed up and cheering us on, and
oh, wicked.
it was cool to see them, help us try to win that game, and we ended up winning bronze, so that was awesome.
Fucking right. So tell me that medal as well is somewhere that not only safekeeping, like do you have it available to see? By the way, I want to see it at some point.
Oh yeah, I'll show you one day. My son, he's like, "Hey, Dad, can I wear your medal?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, buddy." Like it's pretty cool. Like he's starting to understand. He's 5 now. He's starting to understand, what hockey is and how hard it is to get to these levels. And
Yeah.
He's figuring it out. Like, oh, because other kids are like, oh, you're definitely in the NHL. You know what I mean? So it's kind of cool for him at the same time to try to follow in his dad's footsteps. He loves it, and I never thought I would be a hockey dad, but here I am.
Yeah, it ends up happening. So
Yeah.
here's the other thing. To me, if it's Olympics we're talking about, not Four Nations Cup, not Stanley Cup, not it. If it's Olympics we're talking about here, I'm not even World Championships. Again, I don't have experience. I do in the under 18, but not in the same sense of you playing Olympics and NHL careers and everything. But still, and all the success that you had and everything, and this comes close to the end of it all. I would almost be more devastated losing the bronze medal game if it's an Olympics, because then I don't get a medal. Like the other way, I wanted gold, and it would be great to get it, but I got a silver. I know that I'm going to leave that day. It's almost anticlimactic. I'm going to leave today, even if it's 10-0 with a silver. But if you don't come through in the bronze medal game, you're like, fuck, I was right there. Like, because the
I
Olympics go
know.
back like technically thousands of fucking years, and definitely even the modern version, way longer and more important than any specific sport that we're playing. So did that cross your mind? And what was the final score?
Yeah, for sure. I think after losing the game, there's not much to say, and you lose the semifinals. Just there's not much to say. Everyone's kind of so disappointed, and it's one of those where you're like, oh my god. But you need to let it sink in. And the next day,
Yeah.
you play the next day,
The
right?
next day, you
Yeah.
got to
So
deal with
everyone's
fuck, and then go,
yeah.
here we go. Like it's really
Yeah.
fucked.
Yeah, so we were in the room and there was no music on, and some of the coaches were like, "Hey, why don't you just go in there, crank the tunes up, and say something? Like say something and crank the tunes up, and let's get
Nice, good
back
approach.
going, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, that was a great idea." So I went in there, just being like, same thing as you said. Hey guys, like, I obviously we lost and we feel like shit and we hate it. We hate the fact that we didn't win the gold medal because that's what we're here for. But at the end of the day, if we win this game, you can still go home and say you're a medalist at the Olympics and you won bronze. Is it better to go home empty handed and feel like shit, or is it better to go home at least with a smile on your face and that you took home bronze, right? And everyone's like, yeah, fuck yeah, and get behind, rally behind it, and then turn the music up, and it just began. I think we crushed kind of the Czechs. I don't know if it was like 6-2 or something. It was one of those games where we just
Beautiful.
came out firing, and guys were just like, yeah, let's do it, let's and I
Okay.
think they beat us actually in overtime in the round robin, so we had to get back at them anyways.
So some revenge as well. Okay, you know
Mm-hmm.
what? So as far as I got a few more like quick questions. I call them rapid fire randoms. Do you mind sticking around for them?
Yeah, let's do it.
That's it for you. And I promise you a half hour. We're a little tiny bit over. But for those listening, Derek does a lot of these charity events with me, like Hockey Helps the Homeless and things like that. So we'll probably have him back for volume 2 at some point. I had a lot more questions. And you got a lot more to your career. But I could go on for 5 hours. So we got to cut it somewhere. But here we go. We're going to do rapid fire randoms with Derek. Roy, here we go. Death row meal. You've committed murder in the state of Washington for some reason. You went coaching hockey and one of the parents came at you, pissed off, and you said, fuck you. You had a knife in your pocket and you slit his throat. Now you're on death row and you're dying tomorrow. What's your last meal?
Oh, it's between tacos and ribeye. I'm gonna have to flip a coin on that.
Well, and two fairly I guess red meat, but I'm assuming you're talking beef tacos. Okay.
Yeah, beef
So
tacos or a nice ribeye.
nice ribeye. I asked this question most of the time, and those are two unique answers. If you had one superpower, what would it be?
Oh, one
What would you want it to
superpower.
be?
Oh, that's a good one.
I
Like
had to
as a
think.
superhero, like, or it's just any superpower, like laser
Just
beams
anything.
coming out
You
of the
can use the
eyeballs.
power. You want to be shady, you could be invisible, I guess. And I guess there's a
just
creep level to that, but you could also like steal bank codes and stuff. I mean, if you wanted to be rich and just live a good life, maybe if you wanted to fly, I mean, that'd be pretty cool. I don't see any way that you couldn't gain money no matter what it would be. Not that I'm asking for
super,
that reason, but
super strength would be awesome. Just like the Hulk, like throwing a
just, yeah,
truck like about a mile away.
there's a lot you could do with that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hulk is probably underrated like that. He comes off as this fool, but you know what? Hulk, I mean, he's so strong. You'd be safe.
yeah,
Everybody around you would be safe.
yeah. Just protect your family. Super strength. There you go.
go to the gym and all those people that as soon as I don't like going to the gym because as soon as I do, like people walk over and go, "Hey, what are you benching lately?" And I don't have a good answer because I don't like doing that. And and I don't particularly bench a lot, but then I would go in if I was the Hulk. Fuck you guys. This is what I bench.
Just use
I
one
bench
arm.
you.
Yeah.
Do you think, or would you like to see any rule change in hockey?
Yeah, I don't know. Like it seems like every year it's adapting to the game and for speed and everything. The one thing I do kind of miss, and it brings a lot more thinking to the game, is actually the two line pass, which is when I
Yeah.
played my first year I played, it was there was a two line pass rule,
Yeah.
and so you had to make smart decisions. Like, hey, I had to keep my one skate on the red line, and I could only take this puck. And but it did condense the neutral zone a little bit too much. But at the same time, you still had to like make calculated decisions, right? As opposed to now you just fire the puck as hard as you can towards a guy, and he's just redirecting it
Yeah.
or trying. And it seems to be like there's tons of icings because of this. And if you watch every single neutral zone face-off, it's the exact same neutral zone face-off on repeat. If you literally watch the opening face-off tonight, it'll be either a quick up or D to D quick up to somebody tipping it. If everyone's flying the zone, and it's probably going to end up in an icing. Is what happens usually, right? Because nobody ends up touching it. But I don't think that would work. I don't think the two line pass would work anymore because of the how much speed there's so much speed in the game, right?
There is, but I like what you're saying. It adds an element of thinking, and it's some people would see it as a subtle change, but I know what you mean. Like there would be a level of adapting. People are still going fast, but I remember, the adapting. I remember in junior, we used to fire it up to the guy with one foot on each side of the red line, and he'd tap it back on the power play. I'm saying he'd tap it back, and someone had to. And now they just go and they just drop it back almost immediately. That started happening, so it's still kind of the same. People just adapt it, but I find too, it's people are going faster going through the middle, so a lot of people are getting hit open ice. I didn't mind getting hit, but I had a few concussions, and each one was an open ice, like with my head just down a little bit. And I find one, like guys like Ovechkin when he came in, I mean, fuck, he's skating around now where he used to have to stop at at some point. Sergei Fedorov, I don't care how fast you have to stop because I can't make that pass. You're right. People go for it, and hey, if I don't get it, I'll just tip it and it's in the zone and everybody's going so fast. I don't know. I guess that's very layered. That's a good answer. Favorite sports jersey ever? It doesn't have to be hockey, but it can be.
Oh, wow. Do you guys think a lot on these questions, or they just have like
not all of them
like
I ask every time. The ones I've asked so far, there's only 4 or 5 that I ask every single time. And favorite sports jersey is always, I don't know if I'd have
favorite
the same
sports jersey.
answer
That's
twice.
tough, man. If you go like everyone kind of loves the old school like stuff, like old school Barbara Pole Yankee jersey or something like that. I think it's like
And
I
football's
just
kind of out. There's not like football just have if you further you go back, it's just numbers. Some of them are just numbers and a color.
that
Like
is
the
true.
helmet might
Yeah,
have something, but jersey, if you go back, the further you go back, really
it's just a
nothing there.
number.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, man, there's just so much. I honestly had never thought about that. I would say like the old school Yankees, Barber Pole, full
There you
wool
go. You
uni.
can't really go wrong with that. It's like
Yeah.
the equivalent. It's the style equivalent of like white t-shirt and jeans. It's never going to completely go out. I don't know if it's anybody's absolute favorite, but it's right near the top always. I this goes back and forth for me too. I played for the Habs, so it feels blasphemous to say, but I love the original Chicago Blackhawks jersey.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's a good one.
Just beautiful. There's a lot of colors, and there's a lot of the crest was
Detail.
thought of. It's not just the picture or the headshot or the portrait. It's how intricate. If you look, there's green and yellow and red, and it's all kinds of. It's a beautiful jersey. Okay, you're a DJ. Something happens tomorrow. You've got to give everything up, and you just have to. That's all you're going to be a DJ the rest of your life. Do you go with? You got to pick one of these names: DJ DR, MC Roy Toy, Sabretooth, or Dr. Funk.
Dr. Funk. You know what? You know who called me doctor is he just recently retired as TJ Oshie when I played in St. Louis. So nobody,
Only
like I had all these nicknames and all these, over the years, but nobody's ever called me. Nobody's put together the D and R
the
and
DR.
said,
Yeah, I like it.
call me doctor. So he'd be like the
That's
doctor in the house and like
I
all the
like it.
time. And yeah, I got caught on from that team, and it was great. He was good. He was a great player and a good man.
I didn't he seems like that. That's good to hear. Like to hear when people that I assume are good people are. And I didn't realize that, but I that my doctor being capital D, capital R. If not hockey, what would you have done?
There was no plan B for me. I don't know. I never really, I never really had a plan B. Never actually had a plan B at all. But
You would have had,
uh,
yeah, that's it. You would have just rolled with it.
yeah, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I mean, a lot of people maybe had another plan. Right now, I'm in real estate, but I could have done anything growing up, right? So, but hockey was just always on my mind, and I always, I'd go to bed, do 50 push-ups and 50 sit-ups every night for
Everything was hockey,
you know,
yeah. It's like
10 years, whatever it was.
I look at my daughter who's 15 and like she doesn't I mean she says she wants to be a lawyer. I hope she does, but I mean, she's just starting high school in a few months and I'm like or here it's grade 10 to 12 is high school. So as I ask you that, like, but when we went, we were 15, 16, like, same thing. If hockey, how do I know? Like, hockey is such a thing from such a young age for most of us that, I wouldn't expect her to answer that question. So as I'm asking you, I'm really asking a 15, 16-year-old, because after that, you're like, yeah, what else was I going to do? I don't know. I'm drafted to the NHL. What the fuck do you think I'm going to do? It's not like you get into it when you're 25.
Some of my
A lot
friends
of people,
said, like, I don't remember saying this, but buddy of mine said, "Do you remember when you went to high school and the teacher asked me, like, what are you going to do if you don't know this?" It's like, I'm going to play in the NHL. I don't need to learn this. And then I was like, I don't know. It doesn't seem like my character. But he's like, oh, you said it. I'm like, okay, sure. But it's pretty funny how, yeah, I honestly didn't know what I was going to do if I
I
didn't. I
love
never
when it works out too. That
yeah.
teacher was probably thinking, yeah, sure, you and 100,000 other kids in Canada,
Yeah.
or more, millions, I guess. Favorite childhood movie?
Ooh. When are you talking about, like, when I was a kid,
Yeah,
like Mighty
anytime
Ducks or
back then,
something?
anytime, a movie that you still
Sandlot.
respect, but back then it was
Sandlot,
like
I
your
still
absolute
respect.
favorite. Like Indiana Jones for me, maybe it still resonates. But when I was a kid, those were definitely my favorites.
Yeah, like I don't know. I just watch a lot of, like, sport, like Sandlot or Mighty Ducks or something like
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
just because you're related,
classics.
because you're like I was their age at the time, right? So
Yeah, yeah,
it was kind of awesome. I actually watched those with my kid the other day, and he loves Sandlot and loves, like, the Mighty Ducks and things like that. He just thinks that's amazing.
that's
So
fantastic. Yeah.
yeah, full
Did you?
circle.
How old's he?
He's 5, yeah.
Oh yeah. So his wheelhouse is coming up. I did the same thing for Penny Lane. Just feed them because they're good story. And if it's sports, again, Penny Lane doesn't even play hockey. She plays soccer. She's pretty lights out. She's on the provincial team. She loves it. It's very similar. I just wanted her to play something. You learn team sacrifice. So all those movies resonate if you're a young athlete, right? Like
Yeah.
whether it's like she likes the Mighty Ducks as much as she would if it was based on soccer. They're so great. Um, your favorite NHL goal? Any goal that you scored at all in the NHL? I mean, you got some big ones.
It's got to be, I don't know. The first one is hard to. I just, like I said before, you just feel like you made it. Like, I finally made it. Like, I didn't feel like I made the NHL until I scored. I think I was just taking up space. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Until I scored that first goal, and I'm like, I finally made it. Like, that's how I felt, that I was just taking up space.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, people I don't think realize when you come in how fucking young you are and everything. And it's not only it's not like if it happens 10 years later and you're 20, like you want to be accepted. That's the big thing. You want to be fucking accepted and you want to feel like you're there. Name me two, doesn't have to be your absolute favorite because you'll be thinking all day, but give me a couple of TV shows that are amongst your favorites
Right now or all time?
all time. Could be now though. I mean, now that's one thing. I think music's in a bit of a void. I guess it depends who you talk to, but I think TV, like since I was a kid, there was only so many there was awesome stuff, I guess, around, but there just wasn't much. I think TV is kind of getting better as we go because there's so many options. And another thing,
Yeah.
I mean, you're not that much younger than me. When in our like in that scoop of decade ish in our era, not as many movie stars did TV, right?
That
Like
is
now
true.
it's
Yeah.
a huge thing. Like it would be a story if someone did. Now it's like they go back and forth for a joke. And some of the time you're looking at Netflix going, what? Like, Jesus, Kevin Bacon's in this?
Yeah.
And you don't even know. But it would be huge news if, I don't know, Sylvester Stallone just started to do Who's the Boss or something. And it would have been like, what the fuck's happening here?
Who's
But
the
for that
boss?
reason, I think TV's gotten a lot better.
I don't know. I mean, Entourage, when Entourage came out and
So
played out
fun.
the way it
Yeah,
is, Entourage was freaking
that was fun.
unbelievable, right? And then How I Met Your Mother, Seinfeld, those are just
Great
classic.
choices. Yeah.
Those, I don't know. I feel like the ones that you could just watch over and over again and pick up anywhere in the show, and there's no timeline, right? You could
Yeah.
just, there is a timeline, but like you could pick up anywhere during the show, and who cares? Like it's fun.
It's fucking great. And I
It's
like
on
to
TV. You
watch.
turn it on, you watch it. Right? It's great.
Yeah, some of them I like to watch out of order. Like Entourage, time passes, and people look at it as a bit cheesy. A lot of people, and I'm like, but you can watch it if only for Jeremy Piven's, if only for him, and because he
Yeah.
usually has some great monologue in there somewhere. I do. I think it's awesome.
And then the
It was a
movie
bit
came out,
lavish,
so
but it's,
I watched it. Like we went back and we watched all of it, and then as the movie was coming out, we kind of
yeah,
went to the last episode and then went to the movie theater, and that was perfect. That was
it's great.
like,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's so fun. It's buddies hanging out for the most part. Deal with even though they're in Hollywood and there's a lot going on, a major movie star and everything that happens in and around his life, like it's just to me, it's like, what would you do if you had a bunch of buddies and you were in this? So I think
exactly.
it resonates with anybody. And for those that haven't seen it, I highly recommend it, especially any sports team. I mean, they could have been playing hockey. You would have all approached it the same.
Exactly.
Okay, just a couple more. Your favorite non-hockey athlete?
Michael Jordan.
Okay, and
Yeah.
so
I
obviously you
mean, I
saw
read
The
his
Last
book when
Dance.
I was a kid. I read his book, and I just love the fact that he just wanted to win so bad, and he's so
Yeah, man.
determined and everything. He was the best of all time. So it was just,
Some people watch The Last Dance and are like, "What a prick." I look at it and go, "Fucking like, I
yeah,
fucking love that. I wish he was fucking leading my ship my whole life. Like that's it. He'll hold you accountable, and then when it's all said and done, the motherfucker likes to have a good time. It's not like he's always straight up like that. It's just you're on. This is what I do for a living, and I'm one of the
agreed. Yeah,
best in the world. And if you're on my fucking team, you're gonna do it the way we do it, right? Like, and I
yeah.
fucking really respect that. Favorite vehicle you've ever owned?
I had a Ferrari 599 GTB. That was that
How
was
early
fun.
on was this in your NHL?
Mid 20s, but I could put a hockey bag in the back or two golf bags. So it was a front engine.
So you sold it
Um,
to your wife that it was practical?
yeah, yeah, exactly. But I drove it everywhere. No, people don't drive their cars because they're like, oh, it's a sports car, whatever. I'm like, I'm driving unless it rains and slippery. Like I'm driving it every day. So I drove the shit out of that thing, and I loved it.
Nice. That's a great fucking answer. I'm glad you went for it. Not everybody, and that a lot of people don't get the opportunity to even drive one, right? So to own one for a little bit and maybe again, I mean, it's just mid-20s playing in the show. I mean, it's just so appropriate. Okay, so I appreciate this. What I do want you to tell me now is, so what are you into? Do you have anything to promote, or what do you do right now in Toronto? I know you do a lot of these charitable events, and I'm going to see you at one soon. But day to day, what's your what are you up to?
Yeah, I'm in real estate. A couple of years ago, I started raising capital for real estate development in Ottawa and Toronto and some of the smaller areas in Ontario. And then I got my real estate license. Now I'm working at Remax Hallmark. Still raise capital as well, but I'm in Midtown at Remax Hallmark in Toronto, and I do residential real estate and a little bit of commercial as well. So it's a fun industry because like every day you never know. Like during this podcast, my phone's blowing up, so I got to get back
Yeah.
to it. And it's always fun. Every day's a mystery, and you meet new people, and I'm loving it.
Where can people find you if they want to contact? Because a lot of people do listen to this from Toronto. If they wanted to contact you for your
Yeah,
services.
DerekRoy.com. I have my own website with all my real estate stuff on it and my contact info. And just email me, Derek@DerekRoy.com.
Okay, there you have it. Derek Roy, thank you, my friend. I really appreciate it. I'll see you again soon, probably this summer. I'll be at the Jays game on June 30th versus the Yankees. I'm not sure if you want to tag along or you'll be around, but that's the next time I'll be in your neck of the woods.
Awesome, man. Looking forward to it. Thanks for having me.
Okay, buddy. Thank you very much. That has been Derek Roy. Folks, Derek Roy, or Derek Roy, as they say in Quebec. If you're downtown St. John's, Newfoundland and Labrador, you want to check out George Street, why not go to Trinity Pub, TJ's Pub, Rob Roy Confusion, the Martini Bar, Greensleeves, or of course, the Bull and Barrel if you're going to go for a bite to eat. Loose Tie, Blue on Water, Wedgwood Cafe. That's where I'd start. Wedgwood Cafe. Also, Duke Catering if you want to work out. Strength and balance for the body and mind. Ryan Power, Power Conditioning, Rope Walk Lane. If you want to go to Mr. Lube, there's 2 locations here in St. John's, Newfoundland and Labrador. One's on Kemmett Road. One is on Torbay Road. Live, laugh, lube. Carpet Factory, laying the carpet for your community. If you're in Edmonton, GS Construction lays the groundwork for your community. Crown Cabinets, just because. Folks, true hockey, take what's yours. And of course, Muggsy Jeans. I loves me Muggsy Jeans. See you soon with more Tales with TR.